Okay, so welcome to our example of how to create a REA model using a Visual Studio extension. If you're not really familiar with REA, there's plenty of sources out on the World Wide Web and internet and other places, but basically, really quick, REA is a business ontology. It's a way to define economic exchanges through a very formal and logical way that connects resources, things of value, with agents, customers, and salespeople, and they're connected through an event. But what we're interested in is creating a REA model. And why would we want to do this? Well, we'd like to be able to understand better about how our business works. We'd like to identify what the expectations are and to use our model to validate our connections. So we're going to discuss a Visual Studio extension. You're welcome to have a free copy of this, and just email me. I'll be happy to send it along. So here's our demo. Okay, once we have the package, it's very easy to install as an extension into Visual Studio. Just double-click it. It will install, and we'll be ready to go. We can always double-check to make sure that it's available. Go to Tools, Extension Manager, and let's search down through here. There it is, REA Modeling. So we have that extension installed into Visual Studio. So let's use that extension by first creating a new project. That new project, let's just create a simple console application. We'll call that Rental Agency Model. And we'll let Visual Studio create that project for us. What we'll do now is right-click on the project name and select Add a new item. The tools for creating the REA model are available now in Visual Studio. We can search for them, type RE, and we should be able to find the REA tools. So we'll select that. That brings us to our pane where we can, our canvas where we can start building our model. Let's go ahead and get started in building our model. You'll notice that the toolbars are available that provide agents, inside, outside, events, and of course resources, along with some connectors to connect them all together in a valid model. So let's first of all select agents, and we'll drag a new customer onto our canvas. Our customer has a set of properties. We can right-click and set the properties for our customer. Again, this is a domain-specific model designed specifically for rental car companies. So we're interested in the age of our customer, the education, because we're going to be renting them cars, and we want to make sure that they are qualified to rent our cars. So we'll fill in the properties associated with this particular customer, the date that they're willing to pick up their car for their rental. And so we can fill out the properties associated with our customer. The next thing we'll need in our REA model is an inside agent. This particular agent, along with our customer, also has an amount that they're authorized to allocate. So we can consider that a dollar volume. Again, this will be important in our validation of our model. So here we have our customer and our inside agent, and we want to be able to rent them a car. Car is going to be a resource, something of value to our company. And so we can drag a car out there and name to a Toyota. This is a particular Toyota our model at this point. Of course, it's not going to validate because we don't have a valid REA model set up. To facilitate the transaction, the rental of the car, I've added 2 additional events. One event is a we decrement event. We, as the rental agency, will decrement the use of the resource, the Toyota. In addition, the customer has a they increment event because they get to use the Toyota. Each event is associated with a value of that event, the date that that event takes place, as well as the name of the event. So our customer will rent the car on this particular date. They will pick up, this is called a pickup event, when they're going to pick up and use the Toyota. Now, if we try and save our model at this point, it will not validate. The reason is that it's not a complete REA model. So we have certain built-in validation checks that tell us that we're not done yet. You can see that our decrements must be matched with increments. And we also need to have inflows and outflows of resources connected to each event. So the next step is to complete wiring up our model. Well, the first thing we could do perhaps is add some stock flows. As we take the car and rent it, that's a outflow, our outflow from our particular organization, where that car represents their inflow. So we can wire up the stock flow events. We can also connect the agents with a provide and receive relationship. So we decrement, or we provide and decrement the rental event where they receive and increment the pickup event. At this point, we need to balance our internal increment and decrement events. So our decrements must match their decrements, and also that their decrements must match our increments. But we don't have any increments, so that's the next step in designing this model. So let's add a way that we can facilitate this exchange, because in order to give up our Toyota for rental, we're going to need some cash. So we'll add an additional resource. That cash resource will flow into our company. So we will, well, you can see that the modeling tools won't allow us to create relationships that aren't valid. So we can't have a resource directly connected to an agent. We'll need to connect that resource through some event. In this case, this is an increment event, the cash flowing into our organization. So we'll say that we need to have $100 cash flowing in to match our decrement event. Yes, I know it's not going to be valid, but I just wanted to prove a point. So here we have a decrement event matched with an increment event. And let's go ahead and try and validate. And again, it doesn't validate. Validation errors. One reason it doesn't validate is because we don't have a matching decrement event for our customer. We also don't have any inflows. So let's complete our model by adding our inflows from cash into our organization. Let's also move in and add another event associated this time with the outside agent, our customer. So again, wiring up the resource flows, wiring up the they provide and we provide relationships. we can continue building our REA model. So the model has, again, several validation checks built into it, in addition to not allowing the user to create an invalid REA model. Okay, I think we're ready to change things back so they all balance, the increments, the decrements, and oh, there's still a problem. It says that our renter is too young or an undergraduate. Again, we can add some policy-based rules to the model. So in this particular case, the company has a policy they will not rent to anyone under 30 years old. So we can change that, and finally our model validates. In addition, we can also specify some dualities. Again, an additional piece of information that will help us validate our model. In this case, the duality is associated with the increment and decrement event for each side of the relationship between the inside agent and the customer. So here we're creating our dualities and creating their duality on this side of the relationship. One of the next steps is to figure out ways to add these policies to the models in a way that is understandable and easy to maintain. That's the next step of our research. Thank you for listening.